Now, on the big story this evening, we are being joined by a panel of medical experts. Let me welcome Dr. Chakra Rao. He's a senior critical care specialist for COVID and chairman Indian Resuscitate Council. Dr. Anil Kumar, professor and HOD of microbiology from Amrita Hospital. Dr. Bharesh Dedhia, critical care head, PD Hinduja Hospital and Medical Research Center in Mumbai. On this edition of The Big Story, we will be discussing a very interesting topic. It's about vaccine mixing. We're discussing this issue because South Korea has announced that it will begin a clinical trial into mixing doses of AstraZeneca and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines to speed up inoculation campaigns amid delays caused by production issues and safety fears. We're getting you this report, and then a panel will take questions on vaccine mixing.
In a bid to accelerate the vaccination drive, South Korea announced clinical trials into mixing doses of AstraZeneca and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines. The trial will be conducted on 500 military personnel who have already received one dose of AstraZeneca. Researchers will examine the personnel's immune response after a second dose of Pfizer vaccine is administered. A timeline for the study has not been outlined, but the selection of participants is expected to be diverse. The vaccine rollout has been delayed by global vaccine shortages and delays in shipments, limiting the country's chances of meeting its goal of herd immunity by November. South Korea is the latest in a string of countries to begin trials mixing COVID vaccines to explore ways of speeding up vaccination. Earlier, the CombiVac study conducted among 676 participants in Spain suggested that combining the AstraZeneca and Pfizer shots trigger potent immune response. The second booster Pfizer shot produced higher levels of antibodies in participants than before, and the antibodies were able to inactivate SARS-CoV-2 in lab tests. A number of European countries and Australia are also in the process of considering the commencement of their own mix-and-match vaccine trials. If the mix-and-match COVID vaccine doses strategy is concretely proven to be safe and effective, then it will provide a big boost to the vaccination drives across the globe. Bureau Report, Republic TV.
So there we saw a report of not just South Korea, but also such vaccine trials taking place in other countries like Spain as well, where two vaccine doses are being mixed and the potent response is being tested. So my first question would be to Dr. Chakra Rao. Dr. Chakra Rao, if you could answer this frequently asked viewer questions in the light of the latest developments, will mixing of vaccines give an effective immune response?
Sure, definitely. It is going to give an effective immune response because even both the first dose of the vaccine will be producing an immune response, and the second dose will be acting over it. So definitely it is going to increase the efficiency, and it will not produce any side effects to the individual. Here, one vaccine is an RNA-based vaccine that is embedded in a vector, and other vaccines are the complete vaccine, which is kept as it is in an inactivated stage. So there may not be any problem, and I'm sure there will not be any problem here.
Yes, just taking forward that answer to Dr. Bharesh Dedhia as well, who's joining us live from Mumbai. Dr. Dedhia, if you can answer this question, do we see a possibility of vaccine mixing in India? Though we know Dr. Chakra Rao has already partly answered it, but your views on vaccine mixing and the possibility in India?
No, so I think obviously in this era of vaccine shortage, all over the globe, I think a mixing and matching policy makes a lot of sense and makes in fact abundant sense for a large population of India. So definitely we should consider this mixing and matching, because it also allows a lot of other companies to participate. So multiple simultaneous different vaccines are being produced, and it probably even boosts the immune response to a much higher level than what we have seen with 2 doses of Covishield or Covaxin. So not only will we see a better efficacy at the end of it, but also the shortage of vaccine which we are facing in India, I think largely we can overcome that by a mix and match response.
Yes. Thank you for taking that question, Dr. Anil Kumar. My next question would be to you, a frequently asked viewer question on what could be the possible side effects of such a vaccine cocktail. Is there, though trials are still on, are there any research or any studies on the intensity of the side effects?
That's a very good question to ask, because we are combining two different vaccines with two different principles, maybe two different methodology, because one of the vaccine is a viral vector vaccine. Virus is there used as a vector, while the other is a subunit vaccine, in mRNA vaccine. So in recent studies, very recent studies, that is, they have combined the Pfizer vaccine with the Astra vaccine. They found that 34% of the people reported more of side effects. 34% of the people more had fatigue, fever, headache, because they were exposed to the vaccine for the first time. Our personal experience with my healthcare workers in their vaccination schedule, we found that the people who reacted reacted significantly for the first dose never reacted to the second dose. So they were primed to the first dose. The second dose, they never realized that they got a second dose. But in this case, you are getting two new vaccines altogether with two different mechanisms. So obviously, there is a logical chance that you will react to both the vaccines, and side effects were seen 34% more. So they advise that don't vaccinate all your nurses on the same day with a mix and match vaccine, because most of them will go down with fever or headache or fatigue and be on leave. So that's a very logical possibility with mixing and matching of the vaccines.
Thank you for taking that question, Dr. Anil Kumar. Dr. Chakra Rao, if you could, though we've addressed this answer already, but if you could tell us that will the mix and match formula of vaccines help speed up vaccine drive in India?
Sure, actually it is needed. Actually, we have a very large population of about 138 crores or 1.38 billion. So in this, our production will be different. Nowadays, the Covaxin has geared up to a higher production, and the Covishield is also has geared up. Now the Russian vaccine is coming out, the Sputnik V, and as you see, the Sputnik V, the first dose and second dose has got little difference. The first dose and second dose, the spike is same, but the carriers are little different, and that's why it has increased the potency, and the antibodies is being well developed, and it is 96% efficient. So definitely, it is a need for India, and when there is no problem, when there are no serious side reactions, definitely we have to welcome the mixing of the vaccines.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Chakra Rao, for taking that question. Dr. Bharesh Teria, if you can answer, is a booster shot required after 2 doses of vaccine? We know that UK has launched a study into the third booster shot. So in India, do we need another booster shot after 2 doses of vaccine?
So I think that's a very good question, since we have seen a lot of cases of infections after 2 doses of vaccine. So not only after Covaxin, but also after Covishield, we have seen several patients and unfortunately healthcare professionals also get infections, and as in the case of dear Dr. K.K. Rao, Dr. K.K. Agrawal also, you've seen that people have succumbed also. So obviously if the booster also addresses the variants since there seems to be a escape immunity by the current variant, and if the booster could also plug in that gap and help us gear up our immune system to tackle the several variants also. So I think that will be a big boost also in not only reducing infections but also death rates in individuals who have been fully vaccinated. So I think a booster dose is probably the way forward, just like we have booster doses in the influenza infection, the yearly booster dose. So I think ultimately coronavirus also, because of its rapid changes in its genome and the different variants, will probably need a yearly booster dose, if not in a shorter duration. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. 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 Thank you very much, Dr. Dedia, for answering that. Dr. Anil Kumar, if the next question comes to you, what is the longevity of immunity gained by vaccines? Is there a specific time period for which the immunity is activated? Does it mean that we would need to take vaccines again and again after a few months or probably after a few years?
Yeah, that's a million-dollar question, I would say. We're still grappling with the consequences of giving vaccines and then getting infected. Every day we get a lot of healthcare workers being vaccinated and getting infected. So there is no straightforward answer for that. Technically speaking, infection can be prevented for at least 6 to 8 months. That's how many studies have been done and we know about it. But still, infection is there. Infection will occur. Severity of the disease will not be there. So we have less severe vaccinated individuals coming, less people developing pneumonia, and less people going into ventilators, rather than the first wave. So there is no clear-cut answer for that, how long it will last. And if it had lasted for long, then we would have thought about the booster vaccination as of now. So as the virus keeps on mutating, it changes its color, we will have to use booster doses, and we can't rely on the immunity that we got from the previous vaccine for lifelong.
Dr. Chakra Rao, if I can take the next question to you, can intranasal vaccine be taken if an individual has been vaccinated already, either with Covaxin or Covishield? We know that Bharat Biotech is working on an intranasal vaccine. Would an already vaccinated person be able to take the intranasal vaccine as well in a few months from now?
No problem. Whichever is the route, actually intranasal vaccine, it will be deposited in on the mucous membrane of the nose. But the other vaccines may be given intramuscularly, so there will not be any problem. Finally, the ultimate, our aim is to develop immunity, and it will be developed. And definitely, intranasal vaccine will be as effective as the other routes, and there will not be any issue. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. That answers a lot of questions because everybody is really looking forward to the intranasal vaccines as well. Dr. Bharesh Dedia, if you can take the next question, because we're talking about vaccine mix and match. If you can just analyze, as per your knowledge, on the vaccine mix and match trials that are being undertaken in different countries, if you can elaborate on the results of such a combination.
So I think some of the preliminary data shows a higher booster response and a higher immune response with the mix and match approach, and obviously a slightly higher side effects also, because the immunity is going to really get a high level of boost. So if we accept a higher incidence of side effects with the upside of getting a higher immune response. So I think so far the studies have been promising. Obviously, we need to still see more peer-reviewed data and some of the other trials which are coming, including the South Korean trial, which you just mentioned at the beginning of your show.
Yes.
So even those trials, once they've come and they've been analyzed by a peer review group of doctors, I think they will shed some more light on how effective this method is and whether we can proceed with this for everyone.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Dedia, for answering that question. Dr. Anil Kumar, the final question of this broadcast, you can take that question on: are nations being forced to opt for vaccine mix and match only because we're facing shortage? Is this one of the ways to combat the shortages?
Yeah, that's a very logical thing to conclude, because many of my friends are waiting for Covishield when Covaxin lands up, and many people are waiting for Covaxin when Covishield lands up. So if mixing and matching is successful, we have to do a preliminary trial. In India, the condition is totally different. We have two different vaccines. One is a vector vaccine targeting only S gene, and the other is a killed vaccine which produces broad spectrum antibodies against the whole virus. So mixing in India would be a difficult proposition, because they are two different vaccines, and we have to see how people react, how the antibodies are produced, and whether they have more side effects than compared to the Western nation where they have combined the Pfizer with the Covishield vaccine. So mixing, if it's successful, it's very good, so that everybody gets some vaccine, a 2-dose vaccine, which is more effective when compared to getting the same vaccine together. So there won't be any confusion that people are waiting for this particular brand or that particular brand to come so that they get vaccinated. There's no delay in the vaccination also. So that's a very good thing that should happen in India, provided we are successful in doing a trial to prove that it is safe and it is very effective, because the vaccines are different in India.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Anil Kumar, for taking that question. And I would like to thank the entire panel for joining us in this special broadcast and giving us information on the mix and match, the hybrid vaccine technology that is under trials right now. Thank you very much to our panel of doctors for joining us in this special edition of The Big Story.